A recruiter and a hiring manager are not the same. Their roles at the company are different, their roles in the hiring process are different, and the way you should communicate with them is different. Understanding these differences will make your life as a job seeker a lot easier. So in this video, we'll cover exactly what each of these people do and how you can make the best impression on both of them. Let's go. Welcome friends, if you're new here, my name is Grant and this channel is all about helping you build a career that you love. If that sounds good, feel free to hit the subscribe button. So let's start this video off with recruiters. Recruiters are people whose main job is to source candidates for openings at companies. They review resumes, do initial screening interviews, keep a list of possible candidates for future roles, and often decide which candidates will make it to the later rounds of interviews. They're also often the person that you'll directly communicate with as you move through the hiring process. In most cases, they are not subject matter experts. If a recruiter is looking for software engineers, that recruiter probably is not an expert on software engineering. The exception is if someone is a technical recruiter. A technical recruiter is someone recruiting for specific roles that they also understand deeply. Overall, there are two types of recruiters, in-house and agency. In-house recruiters are recruiters who are working at the company they're hiring people for. Agency recruiters work at third-party recruiting companies. They have partnerships with tons of companies and connect candidates to open roles at those companies. Because in-house recruiters work at the companies they're sourcing candidates for, they often evaluate you on a more holistic level. They want to know your qualifications, interest in their company, soft skills, and if you're a cultural fit. They want to make sure they find someone who will succeed across all areas of the job. On the other hand, agency recruiters are a little bit more focused on speed. They want to find candidates jobs quickly because the more candidates they place, the more money they as an agency will make. They'll also want to know the type of job and company you're looking for so they can find something that's a good fit. Okay, now let's talk about hiring managers. Hiring managers are the people working at high-level positions in a company. If you get the job, they will be above you in the company hierarchy, and they will very often be your new boss. In most cases, the hiring manager's main job is not sourcing and evaluating candidates. They're busy leading their team and doing things related to their department. However, they are almost always subject matter experts for the roles they're hiring. If they're hiring software engineers, they themselves are probably a skilled software engineer. Also, the hiring manager is the person who will ultimately decide who gets a job offer. Recruiters will decide who makes it to the later rounds of interviews, but the hiring manager is the one who chooses the final candidate who gets the job. You, in terms of both written communication and communication in interviews, want to approach these people a little bit differently. When communicating with in-house recruiters, you'll probably want to avoid going super deep on the advanced technical details of your experience. For example, if you're a software engineer explaining a successful project at your former company, you probably don't want to get into all the advanced algorithms, why you created them, how you created and tested them, and all of that stuff. Instead, just imagine you're explaining your experience to a non-software engineer, because that's what you're doing. Talk about why the project was happening, your role and actions, as well as the impact the project had on the business. It is totally fine to mention a few programming languages or a few technical terms that are in the job description. The recruiter probably wants to hear those, but just keep in mind you are not giving a PhD level explanation. Also, you want your communication to be concise. Be brief and be efficient. Don't send giant multi-paragraph messages to recruiters on LinkedIn or in your emails. They get a ton of messages a day. If yours is so long they have to spend multiple minutes understanding it, the chance that they reply goes down a lot. Make your communication easy to read and easy to respond to. This is also true when you are speaking with them. Screening calls are usually pretty short, so you don't want to give really lengthy answers. If you only have 15 minutes to make a good impression, don't spend 6 minutes answering just one question. As you're preparing for a screening interview, planning how you'll explain your background, how you'll talk about your strengths, why you're interested in that company, eliminate any non-essential information. This is still early on in the process. They're not deciding whether or not they're going to hire you. They're just deciding if you are a good enough fit to meet with the hiring manager. When it's your turn to ask questions, here are the main topics you should focus on. First, the reasons behind the position being open. How long has this role been open? Why is the position open? If it's been open for a long time, what seems to be missing from the candidates you've talked to previously? This can give you really good insight into the hiring process. You should also ask about the company and the role, but focus on more big picture questions. What does it mean to be a good culture fit here? What are the top challenges the team or department are facing? You probably don't want to ask extremely detailed technical questions about the role because the recruiter most likely won't know the answer. So, in summary, when communicating with in-house recruiters, explain your qualifications and experiences in a way that is simple and easy to understand. Keep your communication concise and focus your questions on the hiring process and company overall. Now let's talk about agency recruiters. In this case, you need to prove that you are hireable. They're not hiring you, but they are finding you a job. If they don't think that's realistic, then they're just going to move on and work with other people. So be ready to explain all your qualifications. You don't need to worry too much about being a good cultural fit for any specific company type, but you should be able to clearly communicate the type of role and company you're looking for. Also, because agencies often have a slight sense of urgency, timely communication will be really important. Reply and get back to any agency recruiters as soon as you can. Finally, here are some tips for communicating with hiring managers. If you're doing networking before applying, which is a good idea, this should not be the first person you reach out to. Reach out to other employees at the company first, preferably people in similar roles to the one that you want. Learn things about the hiring process, the culture, the team, the projects, so you can personalize your communication with the hiring manager. You'll want to make the best impression you can on this person, so wait until you've done some research to reach out to them. Still be efficient with your writing and speaking, but because they're subject matter experts, share your experience in a little bit more detail. Show your full expertise, because that's what they want to see. So if we're that software engineer explaining a successful project, we can go into more technical detail on the algorithms. Don't forget to explain the impact though. You want to prove that your work created value. And for your questions during interviews with hiring managers, focus a little more on the details of the role, the challenges the team is facing, the goals, and how you could contribute. Questions like, what are the biggest priorities for your team over the next 3 months? How would this role contribute to achieving those 3-month goals? You can also ask about the manager's leadership style and the way he communicates with his team. If your team members were to describe you as a leader, what do you think they would say? So in summary, wait until you know stuff about the team and role before interacting with the hiring manager. Share your relevant experience in detail, showing your full expertise, and ask more detailed questions about the team, the work you'll do, and the manager's relationship with his team. All right, friends, I hope this was helpful. If you are passionate about reaching your own career goals, check out my website for more resources and info on how we can make that dream happen together. Thank you always for watching, and I will see you in the next one.